Okay, we are back. So Heather mentioned loyalty in the last session. We're going to continue that theme with the next panel discussion. It's led by Veronica Servantez, right over here. She has her panel. Veronica's deep-rooted belief in the power of customer experience has really helped to propel her to the forefront of the industry. Her expertise spans digital marketing, branding, customer experience, and go-to-market strategies. She is right over here. Please give it up for Veronica and the panel right here.
Hi, everybody. So before we jump into it and have a great discussion around customer loyalty, I want to take a few minutes to introduce our esteemed panel. So we have Kevin Flanagan with us from a partner, BC partner, and event sponsor Klaviyo. Klaviyo is a leader in the email automation and SMS space. Thank you, Klaviyo, for sponsoring and for being here today. And we're lucky enough to have 3 customers with us today. So I want to introduce Kirk Anton. So Kirk, or Anton, is the owner and founder of Heat Transfer Warehouse. If you haven't yet, please stop by. They have a table out on the veranda with some really fun swag.
Hi, Claudia.
There you go. Always closing. But you know, Kirk really has built a company that has a reputation not just for innovation and quality in the garment decorating space, but also really a reputation for exceptional customer service. We also have Mike Hoefer joining us today from King Arthur Baking. All you bakers out there are familiar with them, I'm sure. So Mike has really been instrumental in helping to lead digital transformation, and that has been a real success story. You know, their digital properties are driving 40 million unique visitors a year and over 160 million page views. So happy to have you with us, Mike. And then we have John Tremblay from Walton's, and Walton's is a leader in supplies for meat processing. We were talking barbecue earlier. And John has been with Walton's for about 10 years and led the migration to BigCommerce. And so one thing that I would be boasting about this all day long is 20 plus years of continual year-over-year growth for Walton. So that's a great story. So yeah, I think it deserves a round of applause.
It was all me.
So let's just jump into it, gentlemen. Thanks again for joining us. We've talked a lot today about the ever-evolving nature of e-commerce, right? And how those customer expectations are just increasing. It seems like year after year, or those customers are becoming more sophisticated and they have evolving expectations. When it comes to building that repeat business, right? Building that long-term loyalty, which I would say is more important than ever in today's economy when it's harder to acquire a customer, you want to get them coming back. I'd love to know from a few of you, what are the challenges or things that are top of mind for you in terms of driving that customer loyalty and repeat customer business? We can start off with Kirk.
It's changed so much in the industry, and I think, through COVID, everybody would just buy through a website. I think now it's so important now that we have to create a sense that there's more than just behind the website, that there's people there. We are increasing our interaction with our customers to make sure that on the business side that people are there talking to them, or you're even sending thank you notes to our existing customers, our top customers, and we get a response back. They're like, hey, that was really cool. I just thought you were some big company. And they had a card signed from one of our, from me. So I think that's really the focus on it as we go, really our focus on the B2B side, and be able to take care of that customer and let them know that there's somebody there that actually wants to work with them and help them grow their business and solve their problems. They just don't want something like, hey, I'm just dialing in and nothing's happening. So.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's really important to show that there's an emotive part right behind the brand. Mike, would love to hear from you.
Our challenges these days are, we've been live with BigCommerce for about 3 years now. the challenges from a technical loyalty standpoint is connecting. We have a robust e-commerce business. We have a store in Vermont. We're expanding a few other pop-up stores this fall, coming to you in Alexandria, Virginia, and Boston, Mass. But most of our customers are buying our flowers in Albertsons or Walmart or big grocery stores, and so trying to connect that customer story, so the omni-channel connectivity of customer data, integration of loyalty programs, as we're trying to do that. A lot of things are very easy to do online, get much harder when you're working with POS systems, and certainly when you're not exposed to the transaction that's happening in the grocery store. So those are our biggest sort of challenges with loyalty these days.
Got it. And I'd love to hear Klaviyo's point of view on this.
Yeah, for sure. It came up in the last session, but cost of customer acquisition is just continuing to rise. And in a world where you're used to, generating leads or getting a first purchase by offering a 20% discount, 25% discount, you really need to make sure that you build that long-standing relationship with a customer. So I've seen a lot of brands shift to more of like offering free shipping or bundling products that are cutting down on the shipping costs. But I think it's something top of mind as brands are thinking about what products are they promoting, what is the underlying margin of those products as well.
Got it. We're talking a lot about marketing. I think everyone on this stage is a marketer in some form or fashion, and we have a lot of marketers out in the audience today. When you think about building customer value and customer loyalty, I think there's a couple ways to look at it. One is this, just the transactional nature of it, of, hey, I want them to come back and purchase again, right? But then you have brand loyalty, and I think, Travis was talking about it earlier. It's this idea of authenticity and building a relationship. It would be great to just hear from a couple of y'all on how you balance that practical, I want them to come back and purchase again, versus the more long-term brand loyalty piece. John, it would be great to hear from you on how y'all are tackling that at Walton's.
So one of the things that we did was create almost like a sister website. It's all informational. We don't sell anything on it. It's called Meatgistics. And it's really designed to help our customers get the most out of their purchases from Walton's. So immediately we show them that we don't just care about the purchase they make. We want them to have a positive experience with that equipment, with those seasonings. So we created that, but then you have the problem of how are we going to get people to start engaging with that content? So we added a community section to that, and my boss and I spent 3 years monitoring it every single day. And it's grown from, nothing to, we have 30-something thousand registered users. And they use it as a social media at this point. And we want to encourage that because it keeps them tied to the Walton's brand. So we give them certain personalized rewards at different post counts. They hit 500, we get a hat with their username on it. We give them knives with their names on it, all sorts of just little things to try to keep them engaged. At this point, some of that doesn't quite matter as much because we have them coming back constantly to answer each other's questions. So they get to show off to other people the knowledge that we've given them, and just another way to kind of tie them to us.
That's such congratulations. It's not surprising, 20 years of consecutive growth with that strategy. Having worked on communities like that in the past, it's always an interesting balance, right, of when it really takes off, being involved to the right degree. How do you guys manage that, letting them do their thing versus having the brand be involved?
So that is a struggle. At least with meat processing, I'm a bit of a know-it-all. So knowing when to let them answer each other's questions is just something you have to start to feel out. And he brought it up earlier, authenticity.
Yep.
Just be yourself, realize that you need to convert them into a customer, but you also need to represent who you are as a company. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah,
But,
for sure. Mike.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things we've done is, I think we've got lucky in many ways. We have a 200-year-old brand that, your mother or your grandmother probably used or have taught you to bake with. So we have these tailwinds that help us with real deep customer connections. It's a genre that is inclined to be made and shared with one another. But we invest in people and our content. E-commerce is an important part of our business overall, but we see ourselves as much as a content provider as we do a e-commerce shop. 2,000 recipes available online, 1,800 blog posts. We invest deeply in people. We have an eight-person team that you can call up right now in the audience. From the audience, you could ask them for tips on how to keep your frosting from melting in Austin heat if you wanted to. And we have 8 people on that help desk staffing those calls for live support for baking questions. A team of 5 people dedicated to our digital engagement process, so responding to comments on Facebook and Threads and all the different social media platforms. So we're out there engaging. We feel it's worth investing in the people to do that work and have real human connections with people.
I think that's really critical as a digital marketer, that it's not just you put the content out and just let it live, in the ether. But you need to have that, again, authentic. There's actually people behind this brand and engaging with the customers.
Yeah, one of our most popular blog posts always is April 1st. We do a baking fails contest, so people can send in the picture of their cake that went flat or anything like that, and then we have a fun time interacting with people there.
April 1st, you said?
April 1st,
I'll be there.
Baking fails.
All right. So I want to pivot a little bit, again, talking about this removing friction, right, from the buyer journey and delivering exceptional customer experiences. We've talked a lot today about knowing your customer, right, being authentic, meeting them where they're at. But there's also a tech part to that, right? There's the tech stack that enables that, and that is important, and it's constantly evolving. I'd love for maybe Kirk and Kevin to talk a little bit about, I know y'all partnered and used Klaviyo. How has tooling and technology helped you deliver on those exceptional customer experiences?
Yeah, I can kick us off. So I think there's kind of 3 non-negotiables in my mind. One is you should have all of your data in one centralized place, so you're not debating internally, like, who has this information, how frequently is it syncing. I'd say the second piece is making sure your tech partners are all joined on the same customer journey. The worst thing is if I have a support ticket with a brand because maybe there is a shipping issue, and then you're asking me for a review or you're asking me to upsell. So your tech stack needs to be unified in that way. And then I'd say the third piece is really speed of innovation and able to implement and go to market fast. Something we talk about with our customers all the time is if you have an idea while you're having your morning coffee or taking a shower, you should be able to generate revenue from that same use case that day. So I think having that all tied in together is just critical.
Yeah, I think Klaviyo is amazing, and he didn't pay me for that, but it integrates with so many things. And I think the biggest thing for us is like we've implemented Klaviyo and search, but then Klaviyo ties into that, so we can see where if somebody's searching for this, we can tailor an email to them, tailored to what they're looking for. And that's really important to what we've been able to do, is because obviously we can just blast out the whole email list and we're going to get nothing. But now we can go and say, okay, here's our top search, here's what they look for. Let's send them an email, and maybe we can get them to push them over the things. Maybe we show them how to use the product. Also, follow up after is once they've got the product, we're following through with the segment and saying, here's how you use the product, here's how you set it up, here's some tutorials how to get things going. We're not abandoning them right away, and we couldn't do any of that without having like the tech stack. I mean, it's so critical for having all that tied together.
Yeah, I mean, the data that, and we talked about this, even the product roadmap talked about, using generative AI, and it's all really about intent, right? Being able to understand what that customer is either needing, wanting, assistance that they may need. We see the same thing at BigCommerce when we're communicating with our customers, right? Making sure that we serve up the right message at the right time. So let's talk a little bit about B2B. Heather was just up here with IDC, and she felt like she read my notes, talking about how the digital experiences that we all have in our everyday life as consumers are bleeding over and informing our expectations in other arenas, right? And so that's happening in B2B, right? B2B buyers are wanting that ease of use that they experience as a B2C consumer. But B2B and B2C are different. So it would be great to just talk for a little bit of, Mike, maybe you can start on how you think about retention strategies or customer strategies. How different or similar are they when you're thinking about B2B versus B2C?
Sure. We certainly have a big B2B component. We're not digital with that component right now in terms of sales, but we do have content on the website that's dedicated towards people who bake with 50-pound bags of flour versus 3 cups of flour. And so we provide essentially recipes that if you're running a bakery or a pizzeria, you can get that content from the website. I think that market is, again, I think we're lucky in that there's a boom in interest in bagels and pizza and people doing that at home. I think Brent is a customer of ours, cooking pizzas at home with his son. There's this rejuvenation and interest in the space, and so having authentic connections. We have a baker specialist that can help bakeries get set up and show I guess we call them formulas when you're doing it. It's not a recipe, it's a formula. We have expertise that can come out in the field and help people get set up. We're just getting into supporting more of those industry events for Bagel Fest New York City coming up this fall, I think, and some things like that. So again, for us, it's all about a deep, our mission is to spread the joy of baking, not necessarily sell Vietnamese cinnamon. So by helping bakeries, we want to spread the joy of baking.
So it's spreading the joy of baking, just being a bit distinct and differentiated in how you do that with a business owner versus a home baker.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Encouraging people to take that next step to potentially become an artisan pizzeria or a bagel shop or a regular old bakery. I always have fun going to the bakeries in my hometown and figuring out which ones are using our flour. 2 out of 3 times you get a good answer. I'm sometimes nervous that I'm going to leave the restaurant disappointed, but often it's a good story there. And so I always try to, in subtle ways, spread the joy. I'll sometimes have stickers in my pocket for the brand. It's one of those brands that people tend to know. So I think even on a personal level, being an advocate for your brand is really important.
Yeah.
We're wearing our new logo today.
Repping today. I know that at Walton's, it is a B2B, B2C model. Yep. How do you guys think about that, retention strategy, that loyalty strategy between B2B and B2C?
So it's actually very similar. We realized 7-8 years ago that education is the best form of marketing. As soon as you can get somebody looking at you like an expert, yeah. I mean, it's not to put too fine a point on it, but it's done. Like, they're going to buy what you tell them to buy to a certain degree. So we tailor our education material a little bit differently to our B2B customers. They have different concerns, right? Our retail guy just needs to know how to make jerky, snack stick, that his friends are going to like. Our commercial customers, well, they have to make something that is going to pass inspection, that's going to be shelf stable for months. But again, it's kind of the same thing, just a little bit differently. Different customer types have different values as well. A commercial customer is going to get treated a little bit differently than a retail customer, but occasionally you have to know when to go that extra step for the retail customer. We talk about it as creating a splash or a ripple. We have a Meatgistics guy whose name is No Eyes Processor, so you can probably guess he's blind. And he does all of his own sausage making, all of his own jerky. And when we initially found out that he was on our Meatgistics community, we reached out to him. We're like, whatever you need. Like, you can call me at any time of the day, night. There was one night in the middle of the winter in Kansas, which is a lot colder than what you guys get here. I was out on my deck, because I have the same exact smoker he has, just pressing buttons, trying to walk him through like how to get his settings back to normal. You do something like that, and then that person talks about it, and it just, I mean, somebody earlier said loyalty can't be created in an instant. It can be sometimes. Like if you can find something like that you can do and then have that person go out and proselytize, for lack of a better term, it is a huge win. So.
Yeah, and you can't buy that marketing. That marketing is the best.
Yep.
The thing I'll add to that as well is I found that when you do go above and beyond to make those authentic connections with your customers, they're very forgiving of sometimes when there's a mishap or, you always want to deliver, but if sometimes you don't deliver quite as much, I find that they give you grace because they know that there's that authentic connection and you're going above and beyond.
I think in that story, I think what's really key to it was a personal connection, though. It wasn't a piece of software. It wasn't a point system that's configured to be gold, silver. It's a human connection that created that moment. So it can be created in an instant if somebody cares to create it, right?
Yeah. Just one other thing, and I also, going back to Travis's comments, I think consumers are so sophisticated and they will sniff out if it's not authentic. That's the other thing. Yeah. All right, so one last question. I'd love to hear from each of you on this one. If you had one thing you can leave the audience with today about how brands or retailers can continue to elevate that customer experience and build that long-term loyalty, what would that one piece of advice or point be? And we can start here with you, Kirk.
I'm gonna tell everybody to get hats today. That's my first thing. I'm like, we have a ton of them out there yet, and that's loyalty right there from BigCommerce and their swag. So please stop by and get your hat today, because my team's out there in the heat. So, I always say is just show that you're human. Show that you're there and you're real, and behind that there's people there, and do what you would do, and be authentic with it. And I think that's really what we've been doing. And just always, never overpromise, promise what you can, and make sure you're following up on that. And always, that's the biggest thing you can do. I've noticed is that they can tell instantly if you're not going to follow through with those things. So never promise more than what you can chew on. And obviously, I always say, show that you're human. Show that there's real people there, and show that they're involved in everything else. And so, me being part of the social media, I'm not the best at it, but they throw me in every once in a while and make fun of me. And part of it's because people are like, yeah, I see it. That's great. I love it. And I know it's you. That's real. And I know that there's somebody here that's actually working with the team and everything else. And so we show the side of our business all the time and try to show the internal workings to prove that we're not just some big company we're just trying to take your money through the e-commerce. So.
Great. Kevin.
I'll give two. The first is just consistent A/B testing across every part of the customer journey. Frequently, working with customers, one of the blockers has been, I don't have the right content or the copy, or I'm not sure how to A/B test like the staggering of messages. AI can solve 95% of that for all of you. So I think being in a consistent cycle of testing and understanding, what messaging is resonating with your customers, and then using that across the customer journey. And then the second one is segmentation. One of the exercises we like to do at brands when we first start working with them is doing their existing email and SMS strategy, but sending it to mutually exclusive segments. What we typically find is, 20% of your recipients are generating 80% of your revenue. And so it's a great opportunity to understand, okay, for this unengaged cohort, how should I look to win them back, either through remarketing or sunset flows or things along those lines. So I think a healthy appetite for testing is what works best.
Great. Mike.
I would, maybe not surprised at this point, I would probably say authenticity. You mentioned AI, and what we've been playing around a little bit with the AI chatbot. And one of the prompts behind the scenes is, you are a friend in the kitchen. And so that's how we present ourselves, as being a friend to people in their kitchen, helping them figure out how to do the things they want to do with our products, and make delicious things that they want to share with their friends and neighbors and families. And so I think that's, I think what I've enjoyed being at King Arthur for 10 years now is that authenticity, the belief that we are bakers ourselves, we're a friend in the kitchen. And so I think the idea of being authentic and having a product and a brand that you believe in, and education is huge. as you mentioned. We have a baking school as well. You can come and take classes, online classes. So it's a multifaceted approach to being out there and connecting with your customers. And that's probably the biggest thing I could share today.
Great. John?
Find a way to balance emotional versus like emotional value of the customer versus actual value to the customer. They're not dumb. They know why we're giving them this education, right? So we have to be okay actually asking for that purchase. And on the other side of that, when they buy something from somebody else, don't be afraid to tell them no. Like, we can't support that. Like, that's not our product. Customers want their companies to embody something nowadays. Didn't seem to be like that when I was growing up, but now they want you to have your own voice. So he said authenticity. In my opinion, it's the most important thing. You need to find who you are as a company, portray that to your customer, and then stand behind it. So.
Yep, well put. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your time. And please find Klaviyo and Kevin. He'll be around if you want to talk a little bit more about driving that customer loyalty and growth. Thanks,
Yeah,
everybody.
absolutely.